I tune in, no humor, zero humor at all, zero intentional humor until the very end. Looks like we're about to have a co-host. Oh, hello there, Cleo. This is Cleopatra. She's a guest co-host for right now. Cleo, did you like Disaster Day? No?
Time for the greatest show fi start anew. The ringmaster James him step inside the frame with a wide.
Good morning, Creature Features. I'm James Jurwitz, and welcome to Cinema Clown Around, Episode 3. Got a lot of interesting stuff for y'all today. We've got the review of Disclosure Day, which I went to see last Friday, and I did not enjoy that film. Just a little spoiler of the review. We also are going to go into Steven Spielberg's 3 worst movies and what I believe are to be his 3 best films, too. So we'll kind of even it out there. I just want to remind everybody to go ahead and comment, like, subscribe, and message me any topics, any actors or movies or anything that you'd like me to cover. So we're going to get into Disclosure Day. Quick review. I think they should have called it Disaster Day. It was so bad. Now, I'm going to start off. This is going to be a spoiler-heavy review. I did get there a little bit late, but what they were setting up is World War III is kind of about to happen. And as all of this is going on, an alien conspiracy kind of breaks out and turns into an alien conspiracy chase movie where you've got the government and then you've got this kind of a background organization, kind of Illuminati type people. And they're both chasing after these 2 people who aliens had enhanced with psychic powers. Now, you know, they do the psychic powers pretty interesting, although I feel like they don't go into it as much as they should have. That's kind of what one of the problems with this film was, especially, you know, looking at the government and then, you know, the Illuminati type organization that's supposedly helping the aliens. There was just too much going on in this movie, but Steven Spielberg never slows down to actually explain any of it. So, like, one of the things that they show off is that aliens have been kidnapped by humans since like the late 40s or the early 50s, and that humans have been running experiments on them, reverse engineering, things like that, their technology. Now, I'm just going to stop us right here and be like, that would have been a much better film. You know, even if they would have showed us through the decades, which Spielberg could have done sequels. So, you know, you start in the 50s and you run on through into the, you know, 2020s and you show what's happening and how each decade and each time period reacted to aliens and an alien threat. I think that would have been a lot more interesting. And then you could have done multiple sequels or maybe even television spin-offs if you'd want to, or prequels, and I think they'd be worth watching. Much more so than this film, which I'm not really sure exactly what Spielberg was trying to do with this one. So we'll take a look at the bad, and then we'll get into the good of the film. Now, one of the things I really didn't like about this movie, I think probably the worst part about this movie, is at the very end of the film, it's revealed to everybody that aliens are being kidnapped, or aliens are being held captive by humans and experimented upon. And as this is being revealed to the world over television screens, which for some reason it shows everybody's watching the same channel. I guess maybe somehow they project, because they're using alien technology to do it. And the anchor who's kind of describing the scenes and stuff and who's also on air, she starts crying about these aliens. And when this happened in the theater, I started laughing really hard because it's like, okay, like, you don't know that this is real. This could obviously be fake. And they show that they run some sort of video test on it and show that it is indeed accurate footage, which I haven't seen any of those video tests before. So, but it was interesting to see in this film. But for me, the anchor immediately starts crying, like, you know, shedding tears over what looks like it could have been made on an AI. It was pretty ridiculous. And I think the thing is, they make it out to be like the government is wrong in this situation, that they were like kidnapping these aliens, they're torturing these aliens for no good, and the government is evil. But I think everybody and anyone who's watching this movie, and even Spielberg himself, forgot. What about the aliens that kidnapped the kids? I mean, come on, because that's the whole thing. Is Emily Blunt's character and then this other guy, they both get together because when they were kids, they were, I guess, beckoned by aliens or summoned by aliens somehow. They appear as animals to look more comfortable with them. But they end up kidnapping these kids and putting psychic abilities into them. And my question is, did everybody forget about the fact that the aliens were taking humans and, experimenting on them scientifically? I mean, that right there is, I think, a pretty good reason to keep these aliens in captivity if they are indeed taking children and experimenting upon them. I couldn't believe that, especially considering the anchor crying. I mean, that whole thing, considering they were kidnapping kids and doing, I don't know, what I thought was no good. Now, another bad thing was the shadow organization or the Illuminati type thing. Because of the fact that these aliens were taking people, why is this shadow organization backing these aliens? Why are they trying to, I guess, I don't know, help the aliens along? That's what it seems like, and it doesn't make any sense, and they never really explain it. Now, it's like the shadow organization are people who were angry, they're whistleblowers for the government, and they don't like the treatment of the aliens, but did they forget the fact that the kids were taken and then experimented upon? It makes no sense. Another horrible thing about this film is it's too long. It's way too, like 2 hours and 25 minutes or something. I mean, this was longer than the He-Man movie, although the He-Man movie was actually entertaining, and I'd like to go and see it again. I never want to see Disclosure Day ever again. And the thing is, if you sit in a long movie like that, you expect there to be a cool ending, a big payoff, right? Spielberg does not give it to us. You sit there for hours to watch an anchor woman cry over the fact that aliens were being held captive for some reason. It just doesn't make any sense. Another thing that was really bad about this film are too many chase scenes. Way too many chase scenes. A chase scene after chase. I mean, that's the whole film. It's an alien conspiracy chase movie. And come on, Spielberg. I mean, they spent so much money on that when they could have been showing us the aliens, how the humans kidnapped the aliens, how the humans were keeping the aliens captive, or how did they reverse engineer technology? I mean, that would have been a really cool thing to see. Show us these government bases, show us these aliens. It just didn't make any sense. And these aliens were unoriginal. The design, they were just your typical gray alien. So to describe that, humanoid, hairless, black eyes, almond-shaped, just your typical alien when you hear an alien. And come on, Spielberg, you could have given us better than that. I mean, I feel like it was similar to his film Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But even then, you're not making a shared universe here. You've never claimed to be. So give us better aliens. And another thing was we barely get to see these aliens at all in the film. I mean, come on, you're there for an alien movie, and they don't show you aliens until the very end, and even then, it's only just a few brief glimpses of them. And another bad part about this, where there were only two actors, Colin Firth and Emily Blunt, who were really giving it their best and making the film a lot more fascinating to watch. Although everybody else weren't really holding their own, and that was pretty disappointing. Another horrible thing about this is this could have been a much better film. As we had mentioned, prequels, give us a series, give us anything. Show us the setup of these government shadowy organizations. Don't just, throw us in there and have us watch the government hunt down two psychic people. It was boring. And this is another thing, is don't make a sequel to this movie. I really don't think they should make a sequel. I really hope that they don't. Now, as I had mentioned, I actually might go and see a prequel to see the setup, see how these aliens were caught and all of that. That could be interesting. But I don't think we're going to get it, considering the reviews have been pretty rough on this film. It wasn't all bad. There were some good here. Now, I'd like to say the anchor who starts crying, that was good because it gave me a good laugh. I was not expecting to laugh in the movie, and especially because, now going into this film, I was watching an interview with Steven Spielberg, and he kept repeating over and over and over, this is a really funny movie. This is a funny movie. There's got a lot of humor in this film. This is funny. Okay, let's see what he does. I tune in. No humor, zero humor at all, zero intentional humor until the very end. Looks like we're about to have a co-host. Oh, hello there, Cleo. This is Cleopatra. She's a guest co-host for right now. Cleo, did you like Disaster Day? No? Yeah, so the anchor crying gave me a nice laugh, but other than that, there was some good in Emily Blunt's performance, because there's a scene where, multiple scenes where she's speaking in multiple different languages, and she switches pretty much from English. Oh, this is my other co-host, Banshee. Say hello to everybody. So, now, seeing Emily Blunt and Colin Firth playing the opposites, the hero and the villain, I liked that. That was something that worked in this film. And it was because the two of them really brought their A game. I think they had to, considering the material that they had was not very good to work with. Now, I did say that this was a chase movie, so that's all well and good. But there were some good chases in the film. There were some good scenes, some exciting scenes too. So Spielberg does still have that somewhat. But to make it the whole film, I think was a bad thing. And another good thing about that to come out of this film is the fact that there have been so many bad reviews. Maybe these bad reviews are going to push Steven Spielberg into actually making a good film. We can only hope, right? Now that I've mentioned that, I think we definitely... That was Disclosure Day. So... y'all let me know what you thought about the film. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you go see it? Or are you going to skip it? And then up next, we just talked about Disclosure Day and how much we didn't like it. So we're going to get into Steven Spielberg's 3 bad movies and then 3 good movies of his. So just to start us out, I got AI, Artificial Intelligence from 2001. So Haley Joel Osment was in this film. Jude Law, Francis O'Connor, Sam Robart, and William Hurt. And it's a futuristic, climate-changed world, so I guess global warming has took over. And this family adopts this childlike android, and they bring him into the family. And what this pretty much is a play on Pinocchio, because he wants to become a real boy. And what's pretty fascinating about this, just to start us off, is that this was originally going to be a Stanley Kubrick film. And that to me, I think it probably would have been a better movie with Kubrick. Although then again, he's got his own filmmaking style, so it would have been completely different. What's pretty interesting though about this specific performance from Haley Joel Osment is the fact that he does not blink the whole movie. Like if you go back and you watch it, he doesn't blink because he realized a robot is not going to need to blink because their eyes are just pretty much like video cameras, I guess. And actually, to prepare for his role, Jude Law studied the dance movements of Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly. So you can kind of see that a little bit in the film if you watch it. Now, why is AI, Artificial Intelligence, one of the worst Steven Spielberg movies? Well, firstly, it's overly dramatic. Bicentennial Man was a different film that came out around the same time with Robin Williams, and they did that one a lot better because there was actual genuine humor in that, but you have to have humor if you got Robin Williams in your movie. This AI, Artificial Intelligence, way too dramatic, and I think it kind of brought the film down a little bit. They were too serious with this whole thing. And then another thing is the wasted performances of the great actors. This is not a Spielberg that I went and rewatched multiple times. I've seen it maybe 3 or 4 times. It's way, way too long. And, that can be a thing about Spielberg movies. But there's also a really bad ending. So when you have that length and that bad ending, I mean, that's just like Disclosure Day. Then, Haley Joel Osment was not the problem. I think he was an excellent choice for the robot. And he does... very riveting job as this kid who's never ever going to be able to grow up, and this was a postmodern Pinocchio, I guess is a way to look at it. Another issue with this film was it was bleak and it was sad. It's not a good ending. Now, spoiler alert, it ends with him in a submarine at the bottom of the ocean staring at a cement statue that he believes is a fairy that'll turn him into a real boy. And I guess like what they insinuate is that his programming believes it, so then that allows him to live in this perpetual, horribly bleak, horribly sad, and not fun. So definitely skip artificial intelligence. Now, my next worst Spielberg movie. This one actually got a lot of fanfare and a lot of awards. This was from 2012. It was Lincoln. It was Daniel Day-Lewis, Sally Field, Tommy Lee Jones, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and James Spader. So, stacked cast like most Spielberg movies usually are. Although, it's showing the final 4 months of Abraham Lincoln's life. So him trying to get the 13th Amendment going to abolish slavery. And this is before the Civil War ends. They do show a little bit of the Civil War, and I think they really should have focused on that, because that would have been a lot more entertaining than the strange political film that we ended up getting. And Daniel Day-Lewis actually stayed in character the entire shoot for this film. He even had Steven Spielberg calling him Mr. President. So that sounds like a pretty curious, set to everybody calling him Mr. President. And maybe Daniel Day-Lewis actually did believe that he was Lincoln, because he does end up winning the Oscar for this film. So definitely very, very deserving of it. He does an excellent job as Lincoln. When you think about Abraham Lincoln, he embodies all of those things, and especially that voice. It was really good. And this is the first actor, Daniel Day-Lewis, to ever win an Oscar for acting for a Spielberg film, which, I mean, come on, that's a pretty intriguing point right there. What's going on to where these actors aren't able to win Oscars until you get one of the best actors who ever lived, Daniel Day-Lewis, in there? Now, that says something about this film, that it was not a good film. Now, why was it bad? Why is this one of Steven Spielberg's worst films? There was too much buildup for this. I was actually excited about this. Okay, Lincoln, this is going to be fun. This will be interesting. Let's see. Daniel Day-Lewis, excellent. I was a big fan of his started a few years before this movie came out. And what we get is a boring movie. It is boring. I fell asleep multiple times throughout this film. I went back, I've rewatched it. I did not like it, and I see exactly why I fell asleep. Another thing is, so Daniel Day-Lewis is so excellent in the movie. He's so good that the rest of the movie should be better, right? But it's not. And when you have one of the best directors ever in Steven Spielberg, it's disappointing to get a boring movie, regardless of the fact that it was an excellent performance. Now, they did do a really good job making this very accurate, and that's what it seemed like. They were trying to really illuminate the fact of what things were like back in the Civil War times. And I gotta say, some of the stuff was kind of hard to understand, and maybe that was the fact that they were using time-accurate language. But a lot of it, like there's a scene where Lincoln's talking to his wife, and she says, "You're gonna put me in the madhouse." And I mean, maybe it's my fault for not understanding that that was like the asylum, I guess. But I guess I assumed the madhouse was like a rage shed that someone goes in the backyard to go chill out or something. I don't know. But I felt like that was an issue with the film. And the fact that this movie put me to sleep also goes to show that Steven Spielberg, if he's going to make a good movie, he's going to make an entertaining movie that doesn't put you to sleep. But he also has the ability to make snorers. So, have you all seen Lincoln, and what did you think? Please let me know in the comments, because this was definitely one of Steven Spielberg's worst, in my opinion. And now, this is the number 3, the last movie of our list of the bad Steven Spielberg movies before we get into the good ones. So, the third worst movie of Steven Spielberg's filmography is Ready Player One from 2018. Now, you got Ty Sheridan, Olivia Cooke, Ben Mendelsohn, Alina Waithe, and Mark Rylance and T.J. Miller. So, I love T.J. Miller. I think he's hilarious. But he wasn't enough to save this film. It's kind of a dystopian future, and you show a teenager who gets into this virtual reality contest. And it's this big thing that everybody wants to get into. And I guess it's going to go ahead and change his life and bring him out of the slums and into having some money. And this was based on a book. And the book is packed with references to Steven Spielberg's own movies, a lot of his 1980s stuff. And what he did when he took this film over, which I applaud him for doing this, he cut most of his stuff, all the stuff that he could of the own references to him out. Then this was so he wouldn't look self-indulgent. Now, I am curious what we would have got, the movie we would have gotten if he didn't do that. Because it's like, look, don't worry about the fact that people would think you were indulgent. Just go ahead and run with the material that you got. Maybe it would have been a better film. Maybe him cutting all of his own stuff out made the film not as much fun. I only saw it once. I never wanted to see it again. And it was when I started to realize that Steven Spielberg was starting to go downhill in the quality of the films that he directs. There's a lot of cool scenes, just like cool little shots and stuff in the film. I have to give it a little credit for having King Kong, and also, they throw in Chucky from Child's Play. Although one of the problems is we do not get enough King Kong or Chucky from Child's Play. We get a decent amount of Kong, but he's pretty much only in the beginning, and we don't really see him again. A few other reasons why it's bad. I went in not knowing anything about this film, and I like that with films sometimes. Sometimes it's better, and I ended up hating it. And, I think that says something to where if you go into a movie and you really, really dislike it, he did not do a very good job with it. And I just kept sitting there wondering, this is Spielberg? This is Steven Spielberg, one of the best directors to have ever lived, made this hunk of junk Ready Player One? Yeah, it just was not fun. If it was shorter, maybe it would have been a better film. I mean, a lot of the issues that we have with his films are the fact that they're so long. But with all of the references and everything that's packed into it, and the fact that it was based on a book, it's difficult to make films like that short, so I understand that. I saw this as a bad, overwhelming Matrix clone. Just a poor imitation and trying to take what the Matrix did well of, the universe and virtual reality and all of that, and kind of making it their own. So definitely a disappointment, Ready Player One. Now getting into Steven Spielberg's 3 best movies, in my opinion. The iconic classics. So we got to start with Jaws from 1975. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Lorraine Gary, and Murray Hamilton. So a giant great white shark terrorizes a New England beach town. So what's interesting is you have the mayor saying, hey, this is our summer season. We got to keep the beaches open. And the chief of police saying, you have to close the beaches. You have a man-eating shark who's terrorizing this entire town. And they kind of come to a point where you've got the chief of police, a marine biologist comes by to see how he can help. That's Richard Dreyfuss. That's my favorite part of Jaws, too. I like him. And then you also have the old sea captain. And when you get the 3 of them all together, it definitely makes for a really, really cool movie. And, one of the most iconic scenes in cinematic history when they're sitting there drinking around the table in the boat, having a good time, finally actually connecting and enjoying each other's company. And the shark has to come and ruin it by ramming the boat. Now, this was just... I've seen this movie so many times, and there's a lot of things that we could say about it, a lot of positive stuff that we can say about it. And one of the pretty poignant facts about this movie is the fact that when they brought in this mechanical shark, they wanted to show it a lot more, but it didn't work. So that forced Spielberg to say, okay, well, let's show from the shark's perspective. He got creative. And, this is when Spielberg was really doing an excellent job with his films. And some of the stuff that he's done in his movies, some of the stuff that he's created, you've seen copied in multiple films. Just, looking back for the past 30 years, you see a lot of that. They named the shark Bruce, and this was actually after Spielberg's entertainment lawyer, Bruce Raymer. And that's kind of a, pretty interesting fact. And then I like the fact that they don't show the shark until an hour and 21 minutes into the film. I mean, come on. Do you see something like that in today's movies at all? No, no, you don't at all. And people would check out immediately. They'd be on their phones and they'd be bored. Now, why is this Jaws one of the Steven Spielberg's best films, in my opinion? Well, this was the first horror film that I ever saw. I was a kid, I was about 3 years old, and my dad was watching me and my brother. Well, my mother was in the hospital about to have my little sister. And my dad was like, oh, you never saw Jaws? So I remember we stopped by the movie store, and he rented Jaws, a VHS of Jaws. And we took it home and we watched it. I think I watched the beginning scene, just the beginning from what I remembered, and that was too much for me. And I mean, this was nighttime too. So that was pretty intense. And then I did end up finishing the film. And when we moved into a house that had a pool, I remembered I was freaked out wondering, well, are there sharks in the pool, or is this gonna be an issue? And another thing about this film and why it was so excellent, in my opinion, was I still have shark nightmares to this day. And I think that shows that it's a very effective film. It sticks with you your whole life. I mean, come on, if it's getting into my psyche. And, you got the people versus nature aspect to this, and that's that timeless people versus nature, and is man, or are people going to win, or is nature going to prevail? And this is actually based on a true story, and I think that's one of the things that makes this so scary. This took place in the early 1900s in New England, where they had a shark, a man-eating shark that was going around actually eating people, specifically eating people. And to know that, to think about that, to just have that tumbling around in your head, it makes you want to think twice before jumping into the ocean again. And actually, it's been a while since I've been swimming into the ocean. So maybe it's about time I planned a beach trip. Another great part about this film, Jaws, is the music. I mean, iconic, that ba-bum, ba-bum. I've played it multiple times just for fun. And you hear it in films, you hear it copied in films, you hear it imitated. And for the music to still be copied to this day shows that this is in one of the most important classics. And, sure, they had sequels. I know they had Jaws 2, they had Jaws 3. I don't think that this movie should ever be remade. They should never remake Jaws. They should never even try. It's a perfect film on its own. And you know what? Give us a sequel. I'll take a sequel. I will probably boycott a remake. Well, I'll probably go see it, but give us a sequel instead. Now, the next best Steven Spielberg film of all time that I gotta say is Empire of the Sun from 1987. Now, this is about a young, wealthy English boy who's living in Shanghai, in China, and he becomes a prisoner of war in a Japanese internment camp during World War II. And this had Christian Bale, John Malkovich, Miranda Richardson, Nigel Havers. And this is a 13-year-old Christian Bale, right? His first major starring role, and he beats out 4,000 other actors to become the star in a Steven Spielberg film, and that turned him into a star, pretty much. I mean, you look at the trajectory of his career and how he's ended up. He's an Oscar winner now and multiple-time nominee. So, and just to kind of start us off, too, Christian Bale, my favorite actor of all time. So, to look back, I remembered watching this film as a kid. And in a lot of ways, this was kind of how I learned about what World War II was, and at least the Pacific theater of World War II. So, as a kid, to watch that, I thought that was makes it a pretty important film. And some other reasons why it's good, I mean, come on, you got Christian Bale, John Malkovich, and when the two of them are on scene together, they have this chemistry, and it's kind of like a bigger brother, younger brother chemistry, and they play it really well. I Another really excellent thing that makes this one of Spielberg's best is that it's very realistic looking, very accurate, at least from what I remember and what I remember watching upon rewatches. The costumes, the sets, everything is just so realistic, and you really feel like you're there in World War II in the Pacific side. The music too. This is another excellent part. I mean, Steven Spielberg's films, when he makes excellent films, the music really stands out. And in this one, you even get a young Christian Bale singing. The music is definitely a standout here for Empire of the Sun. And I think there's a band named Empire of the Sun, like a rock band, and they had to have gotten their name from this film, is my assumption. And in the 80s, movies were made much different then. I mean, of course, they were always made different in every decade, but you got different kind of films, and especially some of the war films that came out of the 80s, they they made them entertaining and they made them accurate, and that usually shows that they become classics and they stick around for a long time. So definitely check out Empire of the Sun. And now my top Steven Spielberg movie of all time, Jurassic Park from 1993. Of course it was going to be Jurassic Park. Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, Richard Attenborough, Samuel L. Jackson. Y'all already know who was in Jurassic Park. You got a billionaire who creates an island theme park that focuses on dinosaurs that were brought back from the dead. And what they do is they pretty much show somebody sabotaging the park for money, and then the dinosaurs are let out of their cages, which of course that was going to happen. I mean, it's a dinosaur Spielberg movie. It's pretty much Jaws with dinosaurs. And although the difference is you actually get to see the dinosaurs, so I feel like if he had the technology for Jaws, we would have gotten maybe a worse film than what he came up with and the creativity he had to see. Now, what if he did the same thing for Jurassic Park? I don't think it would have been as good of a film. So I'm glad that that FX, the practical effects and the computer effects still hold up today. Everybody says that when you sit and you watch it. And that T-Rex, the digital scenes with that T-Rex, fantastic. Some other reasons why this is the best film of Steven Spielberg's library. It's one of those movies you can watch countless rewatches. I have seen this movie probably more times than any other film, and I couldn't tell you how many times I watch it. And it's one of those where if you start it and you sit down and you start watching it, you get sucked in. It's really hard to put down, even if you know what's happening and what's going on. And I could quote, scene by scene by scene, favorite characters. Robert Muldoon stands out as one of my favorite characters in this film. He's the game warden of Jurassic Park. And I think that would be a really cool show if they gave us a Robert Muldoon prequel showing us how he gets his start with being a hunter in Africa or being a game warden, and then moving on to overseeing Jurassic Park. Robert Muldoon is the coolest character of the whole film series, in my opinion, even though he gets killed in the first one. And I remember it must have been 1993, I think, getting a Robert Muldoon 6-inch toy for Christmas, or maybe it was like the 4 or 5-inch toys. But I remember that was my favorite toy too, and I wore that thing out. That was a lot of fun. And I actually had a distinction of being able to see this Steven Spielberg film in the theaters, and I was really glad that I did. It's one of those movies where you see it and it's like, wow, okay, I have to buy this film. And we did. We ended up buying it on VHS, which actually, I think I only have that film on VHS. I have not owned a DVD copy of Jurassic Park in my lifetime, which I can't believe that, really. I think I have Jurassic Park 3 on DVD, and I also have Jurassic World, which I actually really like that first Jurassic World. We'll probably get into those movies later on, but I mean, Jurassic Park, another thing is, as we were mentioning, the practical effects and all that, you actually get to see dinosaurs in this film, and that's what makes it a classic. This is the first film that actually tried to go for, now I know they were trying to go for time-accurate dinosaurs. Now, since the dinosaurs have been shown that they move differently, they look differently, but still, it's a movie. And one of the ways they got around that is they explain during the series, these are dinosaurs that we recreated the way that we thought that they looked, or the way we were going to make them look cooler. So, that's a way that they can say they're going to look different than the original dinosaurs did. So, there could be a million more wonderful things to say about this first Jurassic Park film and why it's one of Steven Spielberg's classics. But, I got to say, Steven Spielberg's best film. So skip Disclosure Day and just go watch Jurassic Park, Empire of the Sun, or Jaws instead. And I guarantee you're going to have a much better time. And so thank you all for hanging out for the Disclosure Day review and us going into Spielberg's best and worst films. And also, thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'd like to remind everybody to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and message me any topics, any actors, movies, shows, anything like that you want me to cover. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm James Jurwitz, and this is Clown Around Episode 3. Everybody have a great day.